The big political story in Delaware this month is the special election in the 10th Senate District that is in the Middletown area. And the reason there will be a February 25th election is because Bethany Hall Long is now Lieutenant Governor. Bethany Hansen is the Democratic candidate for this seat. She joins us on first. And we like to point out that we did invite your candidate, your Republican opponent, John Marino, to join us, but he did decline. But let's start off like we do with most interviews. Let's start off with your 30-second elevator speech. Why should you be elected to represent the 10th Senate District?
Well, I think because I represent the voice of working families. You know, I've been there. I understand how hard it is to put food on the table, to worry about getting your kids a good education, to be able to save to send them to college and to plan for retirement. So I think the voice of working families really needs to be something that's heard and heard loudly in Dover.
So Delaware made national news last week with the incident in Smyrna, the prison hostage situation. What should investigators be looking at? What are the questions that people should be asking?
Well, and I'd like to point out that I believe Governor Carney is actually looking into this situation as well. We should try to find out, you know, how we got to the situation that we did. You know, is this something that had been on the radar screen for quite some time? And if so, kind of what is it that we didn't address during that period of time that we absolutely have to address at this point? We should have addressed so that this wouldn't happen in the past, and so that it certainly won't happen in the future. But there's clearly a situation that has evolved that we have not been on top of as a state, and we must get our arms around that at this point.
So if one person is found involved in the death of Sergeant Stephen Floyd, should we take another look at how the death penalty should be viewed here in Delaware?
I think we need to let kind of tempers and emotions calm a bit. We need to make sure that we've done a clear and thorough investigation, and then take the appropriate steps after we've gotten that far. Because I think what we don't want to do is we don't want to react while tempers and emotions are high. We need to react rationally and reasonably going forward.
Well, let's take a look at the economy. Is that the #1 issue in the race?
Yes, it is. Absolutely. Jobs and the economy is the #1 issue that I hear in every community. We've not done a good enough job at bringing in good paying jobs into Delaware. You know, I think there has been some thought to doing that, but it hasn't worked out very well. There are really 3 things that we need to do to put those in place. Because what government needs to do is it needs to set the table for good jobs growth, and then step aside and let the business community take advantage of that. So we need to have in place a ready and able workforce that is on the ground, so that when a company comes in here, they know that they've got employees that they can draw from, a community they can draw from. Not that they have to raise their own employees,
yes,
train their own people when they get here. Now, obviously, we want to make sure that we're bringing in companies that can train people, because each of them are going to have specific needs. But they want to know when they first come into a community, are they going to have people that can drive forklifts? Are they going to have people that can take samples, that can do welding? So we need to make sure that we've got a ready and able workforce. We also have to make sure as government that we have in place good infrastructure. Our roads are in place, our bridges are in place, they've got water, they've got sewer. You know, we have the basic necessities that government needs to supply. And then finally, we need to make sure that we have not placed in front of them such excessive regulations and governmental burdens that even if they wanted to locate here, you know, it's going to take 2 years to get their plan approved. That's what I hear a lot. And I've actually represented companies before involved in bringing new businesses into Delaware. And one of the concerns that I've heard for some time is that, you know, we're all ready to come. We think this is a great place. But the problem is that it's going to take us 2 years to get our plan approved. And even if you've got a ready workforce,
yes,
and you've got infrastructure, if it takes you that long to get your plan approved, you're not going to locate here.
So I want to squeeze in one more question. John Marino has noted that the Democrats have been in power in the Senate for 45 years. That's the reason he should be elected. How does one account for the one-sided Democratic majority? How do you view that?
Well, I think, first of all, I think the whole 40 years thing is a bit of a red herring, because the Republicans were actually in control of the House till 2008. So under any facts, even alternative facts, 2008 was not 40 years ago. So we need to kind of cut that down and be a little more, I think, realistic about what's going on. Delaware has been a very Democratic state since then, I think, because the Democrats have really kind of spoken to the issues that were important to the people. They've been about diversity, they've been about inclusivity, and that message has rang very true with the majority of people, and that's why we have the Delaware General Assembly that we do.
Well, thanks so much, Stephanie. 5.5 minutes flies by just like that. Thanks again, Stephanie Hansen, the Democratic candidate in the upcoming February 25th election in the 10th District. We'll have more next week on this race, including comments from Republican John Marino and Libertarian candidate Joe Lasendorfer.